Okay, good evening, viewers. This is Breeding Psychology X Plus. I'm Dr. Bupola on the line. Today we'll be talking about breaking free from addictive behavior. Breaking free from addictive behavior. The issue of addiction has been a very major issue in the world globally that has been causing a lot of problems for people individually on the personal life. We discovered that a lot of individuals don't know how to help themselves because of the problem of addiction. In the society, addiction has been causing people to misbehave, thereby not letting a lot of people to reach their potentials. And this issue of addiction is becoming a serious issue because we have children getting into addiction, we have teenagers getting into addiction, we have full grown adults also getting into addiction. And once people are addicted to one thing or the other, it prevents them from reaching their full potentials in life. When you ask a lot of people that why are you addicted to this particular thing, some of them will start to cry, some of them will start to think, deeply. They will start to regret that they wish they didn't go into that type of addiction. And we have to understand that the issue of addiction can come up for different reasons. Some people got into addiction as a result of indoctrination. Some people got into addiction as a result of stimulation. Some people got into addiction as a result of seduction. Some people found themselves, with addictive behavior because of reinforcement in some quarters. And you see, many things bring about addiction as other people maybe as a result of bad role modeling. And once addiction sets in, to break out of addiction is always very, very difficult. So it's very, very important for us to understand that we need to understand that addiction is a very, very counterproductive behavior that can limit human potentials. Now, what is addiction? Addiction can be defined as the negative fixation to a particular negative habit that is counterproductive to the human development. It can be defined as negative fixation to a particular habit which can prevent an individual from reaching his full God-given potentials. And when we talk about addiction, there are different types of addiction. We have sexual addiction, we have substance abuse or substance related addiction, we have what we call compulsive behavior, we have what we call diet related addiction. All forms of addictions makes people slaves to whatever they are addicted to. And the moment you are addicted to anything, you are a slave of that particular thing. And this issue of addiction sets in gradually. It's addiction normally comes up with one step. It's about taking the wrong step towards a particular thing of joy, something that gives you joy. Once you begin to take a particular step towards that particular thing, it can lead to a negative behavior whereby you will not be able to leave that particular thing. For instance, let's talk about substance abuse. For instance, some people started by smoking a cigarette, and later they discovered that they smoke 2 cigarettes, 3 cigarettes. Before you know it, some of them finish a pack of cigarettes per day. And before you know it, a person that is working and earning salary discover that he doesn't have a savings. And when this type of people try to stop that behavior, they find out that they cannot stop again. At that level, you can call it an addiction. Also, we talk about seduction related addiction. When people start engaging in premarital sex, some individuals get to the point whereby they cannot help themselves again, thereby they have different partners and they can't. So when they get married, they discover that they cannot be faithful to their spouses and it leads to divorce, and they find themselves marrying different people and yet they keep on divorcing them because they are not faithful. This is a problem. This is what we call addiction. Then when this addiction sets in, the best thing we need to understand is that to really solve the problem of addiction, you must identify the type of addiction that you are going through. And at the end of it, after identifying the type of addiction one is going through, one must admit that one has a problem. Anybody that doesn't admit that he has an issue cannot be helped. To solve the problem of addiction, the first step to take is to identify and to admit that is an issue. Anybody that doesn't see his or her addiction as an issue cannot solve the addiction. So the first step is you must identify and you must recognize and admit that you actually indeed have an addiction problem. Then number two, you must take steps to get out of this addiction problem. Anytime we are addicted to a particular thing that is having negative effect on our lives, we must take steps to get out of it. When we identify and we admit that we have these issues, the next step is that we must take steps, to get out of this addiction problem. And how do we take steps? You see, the problem of addiction cannot be solved in one day because the habit did not start in one. The habit it did not just start at a time. The habit has been formed over a period of time. So an habit that has been formed over a period of time cannot be eliminated in one day. And one thing we have to understand, after admitting and recognizing the type of addiction that we are struggling with, the first thing is that we must identify the method of eradicating this addiction. One of the methods that we can use to eradicate addiction issues is what we call systematic desensitization. Systematic desensitization. In psychology, we believe that something that happens systematically cannot be eradicated in one day. For instance, smoking, for instance, somebody that is addicted to nicotine or somebody that is addicted to marijuana. You started with one sip of marijuana. Later, you started, taking about 20 wraps of marijuana, whatever the substance abuse is. Definitely, to stop this type of problem, that's what we call systematic approach to the solution to this, or systematic approach to this problem. And the systematic approach is that you can start by reducing the daily intake of the substance to that you have abused, and by engaging in daily reduction of this substance, you discover that before you know it, it will begin to reduce. The habit will begin to die naturally. We call it systematic desensitization. Systematic desensitization precisely. Then secondly, somebody that has what we call a compulsive behavior, somebody that likes eating anything at any time. So such a person may not be able to stop that habit immediately. So you can practically, start reducing your appetite for food by ensuring that you eat less every day. And over a period of probably 6 months, you may just discover that you have lost appetite for overeating. So compulsive behavior can be handled that way. Also, how about sexual related perversion or sexual related addiction? You discover that somebody that is sexually perverse in nature may not be able to help himself or herself. So the first thing is to eliminate the environment in which this behavior occurs. So systematically eradicating the environment that promotes such sexual misconduct will help in reducing and eliminating and eventually eliminating the behavior. So that's what we call systematic desensitization. A systematic and gradual approach of eliminating an unwanted behavior can help to reduce or stop totally addiction. Then we talk about paradigm shift through counseling. In our world today, we have a lot of experts, we have a lot of psychologists, we have a lot of religious organizations and individuals, elderly people that offer counseling to people. Some of these people have gone through this addiction and they can use their life experiences to counsel other people by using this what we call by exposing oneself to this set of people, one can receive help and it can help in eradicating addiction. So we talk about paradigm shift through counseling. So the moment you listen to other people who have gone through a similar experience, learning from such people can help in eradicating addiction or addictive behavior. So it leads to what we call paradigm shift. And what do we call paradigm shift? Is a shift in the thinking that is in your head because of what others have gone through and how they handle it. It can help to solve the problem of addiction. Then number three, we talk about environmental reconfiguration. Environmental reconfiguration. A lot of people are addicted to a lot of negativities in our world today because of the environment that they find themselves. So one of the practical ways to eliminate addiction is the change of the environment of the person. It could be the psychological environment causing that behavior to reoccur. It could also be the physical environment causing that behavior to occur. For example, somebody that likes drinking marijuana or taking drugs or other destructive substances and somebody that does that because of the kind of friends in the environment, if such a person is taken out of that environment, that action is likely to decrease the likelihood that that behavior will occur again. So with time, when the person is taken away from the environment that is encouraging and reinforcing that behavior or that addiction naturally dies. We also talk about objective visualization of the addictive behavior. Objective visualization of the addictive behavior. A lot of people are stuck to a negative behavior or a negative addiction or a particular kind of addiction because they've not been objective. When we analyze what we are addicted to objectively, we are likely to get free from them. For instance, somebody that is addicted to food, somebody that can eat anything, and the person becomes obese to the person that the person gets so sick. If such an individual can sit down and tell himself or herself that what this food I'm eating every time, do I really need it? When we analyze what we are doing objectively, either through food or through sex or through substance abuse, we are likely to get over this addiction. So basically, the problem of addiction cannot be easily solved except we understand how to go about it in terms of being objective about the situation, in terms of willingness to solve the problem, in terms of seeking for help, and in terms of objective visualization of the addictive behavior and taking steps to eradicate the behavior. This is Breeding Psychology Experts. I hope I've helped one person or the other today. Until we continue in the next episode, I say thank you very much for listening. Thank you.